Batteries fully charged. Launch ready for AEW Spark in 3, 2, 1. All Elite Wrestling discussion is live. Cue host Owen Finch.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to AEW Spark. I always forget that you don't have to introduce the show because we have an intro, but whatever. We're just going to go with it anyways. What screwed me up was I had to wait for a while for it to record. So I'm here once again, thanks to a certain someone. Why don't you introduce yourself? He was here last week.
It's me. It's Chris. That guy.
Probably the worst intro I've ever done, but we're just going to go with it. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. So we're going to talk about some AEW stuff this week because that's what this show is for. We're going to review Dynamite, Rampage from last week, and then the dogs from this week. Not a big week for AEW. This is probably one of the slowest weeks they've had, which I think they deserve a slow week because the news last week was freaking crazy. So I feel like, I like the fact that we kind of had a slow week this week. There's not really a lot of things news related. And, this show was more of these shows were more set up to this week's episode because we're doing this Wednesday, the same day as Grand Slam, because that's the only time we had a chance to do it. So I imagine when we, whether it's you or when I do the Grand Slam Dynamite reviews, that's going to be a pretty big week because we have to. It's basically a pay-per-view we're going to be watching. But
yeah,
let's cover the stuff from last week first. We're going to start with Dynamite. This is the I think it should be September 7th, but I don't think that's the right date. So I'm just gonna. It's September 14th.
14th, yeah.
Yeah, I was a week off, but I forgot to update it in my notes. And for commentary, we had Excalibur, Taz, and Tony Schiavone. No Jim Ross at all on Dynamite. He was on Rampage, but he wasn't on Dynamite at all, so that was kind of strange.
That's bizarre. They usually have him in the last hour or so.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna come out at least during the Bryan Danielson Chris Jericho match, but he didn't make any appearance at all during Dynamite. So, it's really weird because he was there for Rampage later on. So I don't understand why they didn't have him come out for Dynamite.
And his schedule probably. He'll definitely be on tonight though, for sure.
Yeah. So it kicked off with the AEW Grand Slam Tournament of Champions semifinals. It was Sammy Guevara versus Jon Moxley. So I'm going to give you a little bit of behind the scenes here. I tried to watch this show live. I don't know if you noticed. I was talking a lot throughout the first 2 seconds of Dynamite, but I was watching it via Xfinity, and of course my Wi-Fi was all laggy, and it was pausing every 2 seconds, and I was just not dealing with that. So basically I just decided to watch it a little bit afterwards. Especially too because it worked out because I was able to watch a retro. I had to basically watch Bray Wyatt and Sister Abigail and miss this episode of Dynamite. That just shows you how much I hate that retro even more. So, I hope you know what I gave up for you. By the way, I gave up an awesome episode of Dynamite for to watch Bray. So if I give a better grade to Dynamite than you'll understand why. Because I just had to see a shit episode of Raw right before that. So,
yeah, that was hey. It's not my problem. That's what you decided to do.
Hey, wait a minute. You're the one that picked that retro. You could have picked a better retro, buddy. So, anyhow,
a fantastic retro.
Yeah. Anyhow, yeah, it started off with this match here. I think this is the first time they've wrestled each other one-on-one since they had that match where where Sammy was in the inner circle, and I think that's the match where Moxley got his eye poked out by Chris Jericho and everything. I think this is the first time they've wrestled one-on-one with each other, so that's pretty cool. Mainly because I don't think the time has really worked out for them to really wrestle each other, but this is a hell of a match here. Sammy Guevara really took it to John Moxley. He hit the springboard cutter. He hit a 450. Moxley even took it to Sammy Guevara. And you know what? I have an argument to use against you now because you say Moxley, every John Moxley match has blood. There was no blood in this match. I bet you were like shocked, like, whoa, where's the blood? Like you didn't even feel like you were really watching a John Moxley match. I think
it wasn't. It must have been not that big of a match then.
Yeah. Eventually, Anna JAS, and Ty Conti. No, Ty Mello. It's not Ty Conti anymore. Come out to interfere. Anna JAS distracts the referee, and Ty Mello low blows John Moxley, which allows Sammy Guevara to hit the Spanish fly, and he hits the GTH, and John Moxley kicks out of it, which I think he's the first one to ever kick out of that move. Then eventually John Moxley hits the Death Rider and gets the win. Obviously, it was obvious John Moxley was going to win, but I still thought this was a hell of a match. I liked how afterwards, too, he even pointed out to the referee after the match was over that he had been low blowed. He didn't even know who low blowed him. I thought that was awesome. But yeah, hell of a match here. Really no complaints from me. What do you think of it?
I thought it was really good. It was a very, very good match. Like you said, like no blood. I like the sell by Guevara on the Death Rider, Dirty Deeds, whatever the fuck it's called.
Yeah.
That was really awesome. It was almost looked like a butterfly suplex almost.
Yeah, for sure. I think too, Regal was on commentary for this match, which was cool.
I always find that funny, like how Brian's entrance is so like convenient, like the regular entrance, and then like Regal's gonna follow Moxley around like through the fucking crowd.
Yeah,
it kills me every single time.
Sometimes he doesn't even do that too.
He just like goes right through and then to the commentary table.
Or he'll come out through the tunnel and Moxley would just be out there by himself.
You don't know where the hell he's gonna go.
Yeah. Then we found out like there was some commotion going on backstage where MJF was like demanding a microphone. I thought that at first what was going to happen was they were going to show like they were going to have a camera guy go backstage, but he just came out and did his regular entrance and everything like that. But MJF comes out and he just cuts this hell of a promo on John Moxley where he basically just puts down Moxley. He talks about like how John Moxley claims that he's this tough guy, but when he was young, he was bullied. And he talks about like an instance where like somebody stole John Moxley's bike, and he talked about how he wrote about it in his book, and he really commends John Moxley. He talks about how he commends John Moxley, how he went to rehab when he knew that he had a problem, and then he talked about how when John Moxley came back to AEW, he had this devil on his shoulder or something, whatever that promo he said earlier this year, where he couldn't where he thought he conquered it, but he still felt like he had this devil on his shoulder. And MJF talked about how he was the devil on his shoulder, and he talked about how he's going to be worse than any disease that John Moxley could ever have. And he brings up how John Moxley's been the heart and soul of AEW, but he's going to kill the heart and soul of AEW. And he just cuts this great promo, just really putting down John Moxley. It's a hell of a promo. Now, obviously, because basically this is kind of two segments in one. So what do you just think of MJF's promo on Moxley? Because it kind of leads to the next segment, which is kind of like its own segment.
I thought it was good. I know it wasn't as I don't know how, like, it just wasn't, it was good, but it wasn't as good as last week's promo.
Yeah. I love, too, how he was, like, insulting the crowd, because I think what's going to happen is when MJF comes out, because I think they're in New York, so he's kind of from this area, he's going to get cheered, so he kind of he shut that crowd cheering down in an instant. He told everyone to shut their mouths and everything like that.
Oh, yeah.
And I loved how he was bullying the camera guy. Like, he even tells the camera guy to get in the corner and stay there and everything like that. Like, it was awesome. And then we kind of found out what was going on with MJF and like this group that Stokely Hathaway has going on. He talked about how when he was going to leave AEW and everything like that, he met this Stokely Hathaway who they've been like friends with each other since before AEW and everything like that. And he blends them out, and basically MJF leaves. But we basically found out that this group now between Stokely Hathaway, W. Morrissey, um, Lee Moriarty, the Gun Club, well, not the Gun Club, but, Austin and Colton Gunn and Ethan Page, called the Firm now. And we basically found out that Stokely Hathaway was not a publicist all along. He was lying. He's basically a friend. He kind of refers himself as like a gospel kind of, like one of those people at church and everything. And he's kind of dressed a little bit like that. Not like exactly like that, but he had like a suit and tie and everything like that. And he gives everyone what they want. And he basically goes to each member of the group. W. Morrissey just basically wants to do whatever the hell he wants, which is kind of weird. I don't understand why he would need to align himself with Stokely Hathaway to do that. He could just do that himself, but whatever.
Yeah.
He says that Lee Moriarty wants the ROH Pure Championship. The Gun Club want the AEW Tag Team titles, and Ethan Page wants to be the All Atlantic Champion. And basically, he's going to do whatever whatever it takes to get these people what they want. I think the reason he didn't mention anything about the world title was, I imagine MJF probably paid them off to not go after the world championship, since I think that's part of the agreement. They help MJF win, and they just don't go after the world title, which I think makes sense to me. I thought this was a hell of a promo by Stokely Hathaway. I do like the group. The only thing that doesn't make sense is what W. Morrissey like being in the group, because he says he wants to do whatever he wants. I feel like he could just kind of come out and just do whatever he wants anyways. But I like all the titles that everyone's gonna go after. Obviously, Ethan Page, it makes sense for him to go after the All Atlantic title. Makes sense for Austin and Colton Gunn to go after the tag titles, considering the fact who's probably going to be the champions tonight. And it makes sense for Lee Moriarty to go after the Pure title, because that's like one of the titles that he contended for before he joined up with Stokely Hathaway and everything like that. So, hell of a promo here. I really didn't have any complaints about it.
Me, on the other hand, I like the idea. I just felt like it was a collection of just random people thrown on television together. What happened in the Men of the Year? Are they just done now?
Yeah, they did.
I get like you need a tag team in the group, so I get that. Debbie Morrissey's inclusion is kind of random because he just got there.
Yeah.
I felt like Stokely Hathaway, like the promo just didn't hit. Like I get the points, but like there was no emphasis to anything. It was just like he was speaking so monotone, and I was like, this just was not one of his best promos, in my opinion. I thought it was I thought it was not a very good segment.
I liked it, but yeah, we're fine to agree to disagree. So, I do, like I said, I do think it's W. Morrissey being in the group is the only thing that was really random.
Because
I think they wanted
championship like contender, they're the tag title contender. What the fuck is the point of having W. Morrissey there?
Yeah,
if MJF is going for the heavyweight championship.
Yeah, I mean he could go for the ROH title, but we'll talk about that later on. Then we had Jungle Boy versus Jay Lethal. Jungle Boy offered an open contract for anyone to come and have a match with them, and Jay Lethal accepted. Really good match here. Just hell of a match. Both these two just put on a clinic with each other. Eventually, after several attempts, Jungle Boy locked in the snare trap, and Jay Lethal tapped out. And really good match here. I thought both competitors looked good in the match. They didn't do anything with like Luchasaurus or anything like that, which I think is kind of questionable. The only reason I could come up with is because they don't have Christian Cage to be his mouthpiece right now, because I think he's currently having surgery, and they're probably gonna wait till until he can recover enough to be on TV, because I think he just had surgery, so I don't think he can do anything even cutting a promo right now. So I think they're gonna. I thought Luchasaurus would have come out have a face off or be on the stage or something like that, but nothing like that happened. But still a really good match.
At all.
But still a really good match here. I thought it was a really good performance by Jay Lethal as well. So I really enjoyed this. What do you think of this?
I thought it was a good match. Two really
good
wrestlers. AEW is a lot of that, where they they put the good wrestlers, the good workers together, and it turned out to be a really good match, which I expected it to be.
Yep.
It was good. I liked it.
And then we had Hook and Action Bronson do like a training session together because they're gonna have that tag match on Rampage this Friday. Because like again, we're recording this Wednesday. With 2.0. So it was just basically a training session. It wasn't really like a comedy thing. It was actually pretty damn serious, which I was kind of surprised about because usually when they do like the haven't been in the ring together, it's usually comedy. But I like that it was actually kind of like serious this time. Like there was no really comedy elements in it or anything. And they basically say that they're going to destroy 2.0. And like Hook actually cut a promo here and everything too, which was pretty good. So no complaints there. I'm just going to cover these next 3 segments because they're all kind of together. And then Alex Marvez went to interview this like pizza guy who's like a big indie star in like New York and everything. But before he can really do anything, Ethan Page just lays him out and basically says that he's done seeing this comedy stuff in AEW. So obviously probably the king of comedy, Danhausen, comes up and challenges him to a match on Rampage, which we'll talk about later. And obviously Ethan Page accepts. Then Matt Hardy did a promo. He talked about how he's been really impressed with Darby Allin. This promo was really weird because like they didn't really show anything about Darby Allin. Like they basically just said, "Oh, I've been really impressed with Darby Allin." Like they didn't even show like a clip of anything of Darby. It was like really randomly placed.
It was just all Matt. There's no Darby at all.
So, but he says that, he talks about how him and his brother have been really close, and they talked about how they had a match before, and Matt Hardy wants to redeem himself. This is kind of part of his redemption story, where he was Big Money Matt when he faced Darby Allin, and that's kind of what led to the kind of like the fall of grace of Big Money Matt. So he wants to redeem himself, so he challenges Darby Allin to a match on Rampage. Good promo there. Then we had Powerhouse Hobbs completely squash Matt Dominito. I have no clue how to say that name. It was just a complete squash match. He beat him with the spine buster. Afterwards, he cuts a promo talking about how he's moving on from Ricky Starks. Then Ricky Starks comes out through the crowd. This is the first time we've seen him since he lost to Powerhouse Hobbs at All Out.
Down to the ring.
And he attacks Powerhouse Hobbs. And they tried to sell it like he got cut open from the brawl when he was already cut open like long before that. I think he nicked his lip like doing the spine buster because that's when I noticed he was cut open and everything. What'd you think of all this stuff? The training session, the Ethan Page, Danhausen setup, the Matt Hardy promo, and the Powerhouse Hobb Dan squash match, pretty much.
Squash is a squash. They gotta stop doing this though with Powerhouse Hobbs. Just have him fucking face Ricky Starks. You don't need to make him look strong when he already looks strong.
Yeah, that's fair.
So stupid. Just have him fucking face Ricky Starks in a match that goes longer than fucking 5 minutes, please. Because that is a money match if it goes longer than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
The segments with the segments, apparently Action Bronson has a fucking no bump clause, so I don't expect the fucker to take any bumps.
There you go.
The Matt Hardy, again, it's like that redemption arc that he's been on recently, trying to get back in the good graces of the people that he tried to fuck over. Yeah. And the pizza guy is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought he was going to show up on Elevation at least and have like some type of squash match, but he didn't. There was no mention of him at all. So I don't know if he's going to show up at the Arthur Ashe Stadium show or what. But
just that it's never going to talk about him again.
Yeah. Death Triangle did a promo talking about how they're basically the most dominant group right now in AEW, and that's what got them this tag title match that they're going to have in the next match. Then we had the tag title match. It was Swerve and Our Glory defending the AEW World Tag Team titles against the Lucha Bros. This match made sense because the Lucha Bros have been on a roll lately, especially winning those trios championships. It's a hell of a match here. Basically, the winners were going to face the Acclaim for the belts. And, they just really went at it with each other. Like, I can't really do this match justice. Just definitely go sit down and watch it. Eventually, Swerve and Our Glory retained when Keith Lee hit the Big Bang Catastrophe. I don't think it's called that in AEW, but that's what I know it as. On Pentagon Jr. on us. Surprisingly, I thought he would have hit Phoenix with this, but he actually hit it on Pentagon, and he ended up getting the win, retaining the titles. And afterwards, the Acclaimed had a face off with Swerve and Our Glory, and said that they're going to beat them for the AEW tag titles. Hell of a match here, though. I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was really good, also. But yeah, I can't wait for that tag title match. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Then afterwards, the
and
Lucha
if
Bros.
The fucking Acclaim don't win, they're done.
Yeah. Then the Lucha Bros got interviewed, and before they could really say anything, Pac just kind of cut them off and basically said that they just had a bump on the road, that's all, but we're still the most dominant group. And then all of a sudden you just see this fist just completely take out Pac, and we found out that it's Orange Cassidy. And he basically says that he's going to win the All-Atlantic Championship when they face off, which sets up the All-Atlantic title match for tonight. So I thought it was a hell of a segment here. I laughed my ass off when you just saw this fist all of a sudden pop up.
That was so bizarre.
At first I thought it was what's his name? Kip Sabian, because like they've been feuding recently.
Yeah, but that was so out of the blue.
Yeah. But it was awesome. I thought this was. What do you think of this?
I thought it was good.
Then we had
special, good, just good.
Then we had the women's tag match. It was Toni Storm and Athena versus Serena Deeb and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. Really good women's tag match here. Eventually, the heels just kept cheating like 3 times in the match, and eventually, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, laid out Toni Storm on the outside. No, she laid out Athena on the outside, and she brought out a chair and used it behind the referee's back, and Serena Deeb hit not the Serenity Lock, but her other finisher on Toni Storm and got the win. And afterwards, they were all friends, and Jamie Hayter came out, and we weren't really sure what was going to happen here, but eventually she just laid out Toni Storm with a steel chair, and which was kind of predictable that was going to happen. But Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Jamie Hayter were still at odds with each other, and this basically set up a fatal 4-way match with all these competitors minus Jamie Hayter tonight for the interim AEW Women's World Championship. Yeah, really good match here. I thought it was a fine way to set up to the 4-way match. The only one that doesn't really make sense to be in it is probably Athena, because she didn't really do anything to earn a title match. Serena Deeb did pin the champion, and honestly, this probably should have just set up a one-on-one match, because Dr. Britt Baker doesn't make sense to be in it, other than it's Britt Baker. You know what she's doing backstage, but yeah. I mean, basically, it went exactly the way I thought it would, where Britt Baker was the most talked about thing coming out of the match. So, what do you think of this?
Again, like I agree with you. Said like, it's just I'm not. It was first of all, this was changed from the original match, which it was Shida was supposed to be Toni Storm's tag team partner, and then randomly Athena was put in there. And Athena just looks completely out of place because she always fucking loses. Yeah. It's just bizarre. But yeah, like, it's whatever. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there was like a storyline reason we found out why Hikaru Shida was taken out, because I remember she posted something like, not an injury or anything, but like, I think she had to go to Japan for something, so they wrote her off or something.
And quite possibly the worst backstage segment I think I've seen.
Next, we had Tony Nese, Josh Woods, and Mark Sterling cut a promo. This was pretty much to build up to the ROH World Television Championship match between Josh Woods and Samoa Joe. So nothing really to talk about there. Then we had the main event, which is probably the best match that we're going to review on all these shows. It was Chris Jericho versus Bryan Danielson in the AEW Grand Slam Tournament of Champions semifinals. Regal was on commentary for this match. Yeah, this was just an awesome match here. It was about the same from the All Out match in the beginning, but then I think the match really changes when Jericho hits the suplex to the outside on Danielson, and he hurts his leg on on the outside, and Jericho just really targets the leg of Bryan Danielson. He gets him into the wall several times, half Boston crabs and everything. And I'm like, okay, they're gonna do the angle where Bryan Danielson's gonna like either pass out or like, he's just gonna lose, but he's gonna put all the heart out. But then eventually Bryan Danielson gets the label lock on a Chris Jericho, and Jericho's the one that ends up tapping out. And it was just, I thought the way the match finished was awesome because I didn't expect Bryan Danielson to like pull the rabbit out of the hat, finish it, and everything like that. Like, it was really surprising, and I didn't think they were going to actually do Moxley versus Danielson. I was 100% sure that they were going to do Jericho versus Mox again. But I'm happy they're doing Moxley versus Danielson because it's going to be two team members going up against each other in the in the finals, and it's going to be like a fresh match and everything like that. So yeah, hell of a match here. It was great.
It was a really, really good main event. I liked it a lot. Obviously, I could have gone either way, but because Jericho wanted the pay-per-view,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna say it was predictable because it wasn't, but they definitely did the same thing that WWE would do, where it's like if you got a win on if they won on the pay-per-view, the next match the other guy won, so it's kind of like that. But
I mean,
at the same time, like it was still a really, really good match. Like these guys have so much fucking chemistry. They've wrestled like forever.
Yeah,
it feels like. Jericho looks really good. Bryan looked really good. For Bryan, who was a fucking heel for a few months, he's really come on strong again as a babyface again.
Yeah.
And just him selling the whole time and then winning was really, really good. I liked it.
Yeah. I mean, I am going to give AEW a little bit of a break because this, like I said, these matches aren't even supposed to be happening really because, I feel like, that Jericho and Danielson definitely weren't meant to wrestle each other like this soon. Like, obviously, because of everything that happened last week, they have to kind of pull a rabbit out of a hat pretty much. So
he wasn't even supposed to be on the show, Jericho.
Yeah, neither was Moxley.
Neither was Mox. The reason why they were given buys, I think, is because they weren't even supposed to be on the show. So instead of having them wrestle, they just said, "Hey, fuck it, we'll give you a bye into the next round."
Yeah. But that was Dynamite. I thought Dynamite was a hell of a show. I'm going to give it like an A- about everything on it delivered for me. And it was just a really good setup for, the Grand Slam show. So I'm going to give it an A-, a hell of a show.
I agree too. It was a really strong show. Really strong Dynamite leading into a Rampage. And a really good setup too, which is tonight for us.
Yeah.
On Wednesday, which is All Elite Wrestling Dynamite Grand Slam from Arthur Ashe. So it should be a really big show tonight.
Yeah.
And if Acclaim don't win, AEW's fucking stupid.
Yeah. We'll talk about that when we get there, though. Let's talk about Rampage first, and because that happened next. I'll just run through it real quick because you saw the highlights, but you didn't see the whole thing. So it was from September 16th, 2022. It's actually hilarious. So they did Matt Hardy and Darby Allin's entrances like on YouTube, and the people who titled the video got the date wrong. They put last week's date, like September 9th, 2022. So can you imagine if you missed AEW for like a few weeks, you would think that match happened, if you went to watch the clip, you would think that match happened on that date. So I thought that was pretty funny right there. But yeah, we had Matt Hardy versus Darby Allin. This was really a hell of a match here. Matt Hardy's really proven that he can still go. I think I remember you were very critical on the Hardys when he was teaming up with his brother. But I think honestly, it's Jeff that can't go anymore. Matt's fine. Like when he,
Matt still can go.
Yeah, it's Jeff.
It was just Jeff was a mess,
and I think we know why now too. So,
because he's fucked up.
Yeah, but anyhow, this was a hell of a match here. Darby threw Matt Hardy into the steps. He went for like some type of swanton coffin drop thing off the top turnbuckle, but he missed and like had his spine right off the ring apron. And then Matt Hardy powerbombed him into the ring post, and he really worked over the spine of Darby Allin. Eventually, Darby Allin.
They did that spot again.
Huh?
Of course, they did that spot again with Darby.
Yeah.
They do that spot in every single match. Where he does the coffin drop and misses every single time.
Yeah. I think we talked. You know what the funny thing is? I think you talked about it week one. I remember we watched the first episode of Dark together. You said they're gonna do the spot every time, and they have. So
they fucking do it every time.
Yeah, Darby Allin eventually made his comeback. He had like 2 suicide dives on the outside. Matt Hardy hit the side effect, and obviously that wasn't the finish because I don't think he's ever won a match with the side effect. You have to really suck to lose to the side effect.
That's never won a match.
Yeah. Eventually, Darby Allin hits the Last Supper onto Matt Hardy and wins. I kind of figured he would win with the Last Supper because of, the fact that he was selling the back injury and everything. So there you go. Afterwards, they shake hands and show respect towards each other. And when Darby goes backstage, Matt Hardy does like this thing where he gets the adulation of the crowd. And then the lights go out. Brody Kinn's in the ring, and he attacks Matt Hardy. And it's just Brody Kinn and Julia Hart out there. And Brody Kinn calls out Sting and Darby Allin. And he basically makes a reference to Malachi Black leaving AEW, where he says, just because you cut the head off the snake doesn't mean that this war is over between us. And he challenges for him and Buddy Matthews to face Darby Allin and Sting in a no disqualification match on the Rampage Grand Slam episode. I think that's going to be a hell of a match. I really don't think there's a reason to extend this anymore. The only reason I see them doing this is maybe they want to completely break up the House of Black because there's no reason to have the House of Black anymore with the leader not there. So maybe they're going to have, I'll make a prediction actually when we get there actually, but I don't really think there's a reason to do this, to extend this anymore, because especially with Darby Allin and Sting, because they kind of won the feud ultimately, so there's really no reason to continue this.
Yeah, they won that fucking feud I don't know, months ago now.
Especially because Yeah. So I think they want to have Darby Allin and Sting have a match on the show. So I think that's why they're doing this match. But I would prefer, honestly, they should just face either 2.0 or get because obviously there's reason for them to feud with Jericho Appreciation Society since they cost Darby Allin a chance to be in the world title tournament. But whatever. When we do the predictions, I think there's a reason they're doing this match again. So then Eddie Kingston did a promo. It was a hell of a promo here. He basically, there's a full version of this in the Road to. He cuts a promo on Sammy Guevara, and I'm surprised. I can't believe they're doing this match. They're going to do Sammy Guevara versus Eddie Kingston on the Rampage Grand Slam episode. I'm really shocked they're going to go ahead with this match anyways, considering all the backstage stuff that's happened with it and everything like that. But, Eddie Kingston cut a promo talking about how Sammy Guevara's a scumbag, how he talked about how he cost him the biggest win of his career with the Jericho match. How he took out, one of his good friends in the business, Ruby Soho, and probably his only good friend in the business, to be honest.
That he likes, besides Mox.
Yeah, and he did actually reference the backstage altercation. He just kind of said, you got me suspended, but we're just going to leave it at that. So I kind of like that they brought that up. So good promo by Eddie Kingston. He always delivers with those. And then Claudio Castagnoli comes out to do a promo, and he talks about how, the ROH World Championship is a symbol of excellence as well as the Blackpool Combat Club. And he just basically cuts the promo, putting over the Blackpool Combat Club and the Pure title. He talks about Moxley and Danielson going at it for the World title. And he talks about how Willie Udia is going to possibly get his Pure title back. And then Jericho gets off commentary because he was doing commentary on this show, unfortunately. And he was doing commentary along with JR Schiavone in the beginning, and then Excalibur, and that's it. I always go to say Taz, but I forgot Taz doesn't do Rampage anymore. So Jericho says that he's had enough of this, and he talks about how he should be the one facing facing Jon Moxley in the finals, but for reasons that's too complicated to explain in his words, it's not happening. And Claudio Castagnoli says, well, it's because you tapped out. And Jericho then says, but there's still a way for me to get my 8th world championship. And that's to face Claudio Castagnoli, because he talked about how he's been a world champion everywhere he's been, except ROH. I guess he definitely hasn't been in ROH, but because Tony Khan owns it and everything, it's kind of like a gateway to get the ROH title. So he challenges Claudio Castagnoli to face him for the ROH World title on the Dynamite Grand Slam show, and Claudio accepts and says that he's looking forward to kicking Chris Jericho's ass. Hell of a segment here, and the fact that Chris Jericho's challenging for the ROH World title is freaking huge, because that's probably the biggest name that's probably ever challenged for the ROH World title. I know we're going to point to like the Danielsons and everything, but let's be real, they weren't big names like Jericho is now challenging for the ROH World Championship. This is like huge. Then Jade Cargill got interviewed. More of the same stuff that you would hear Jade Cargill say. The only thing that was new is that she fired Stokely Hathaway as her publicist, because he really wasn't a publicist. Which I think that's going to be a mistake to have Jade Cargill without a mouthpiece. That's going to be a massive mistake, but that's
huge.
That is what it is. And then afterwards, Diamante comes up and challenges Jade Cargill on the Rampage Grand Slam for the TBS Women's Championship, and she says that she's gonna bring out like a local baddie. I don't know who that's gonna be, but
notice how it's on the Rampage section.
Yeah,
not the Dynamite section.
I don't think this match is gonna be all that good. I think
exactly.
I think Diamante will be fine in the match, but I imagine what's going to happen is Diamante is going to get like a few licks in, and Jade Cargill is going to win. This match is probably not going to go longer than 5 minutes, but we'll do the predictions portion of it. Then we had Hangman Adam Page and the Dark Order get interviewed. They announced it's going to be a Royal Rampage Battle Royal. And Hangman Adam Page apologizes to the Dark Order for letting him down at All Out. Dark Order accept his apology. And they all say that they're going to be in the Battle Royal, and they joke around saying that they could eliminate Hangman Adam Page, which might lead to something. And then Jose the assistant and Roosh come up and extend that offer again to 10 to join up with Andrade Alidolo and Roosh. And Roosh says he's going to eliminate everybody's asses. And that's legit what he said. He said he's going to eliminate all your asses. And then, he's going to
eliminate that booty.
Yeah. And then, basically the Dark Order all celebrated except for 10. He looked like he was like pondering the decision to join up with, Andrade Alito and Roosh. I think he's better off staying with the Dark Order because, it's not like Andrade Alito and Roosh are doing any better together as a tag team right now. I honestly think 10 will do worse being with them. He might be on TV even less. So, then Ethan Page with Stokely Hathaway wrestled Danhausen. This was a squash. Ethan Page won with the Ego's Edge. Again, I've talked about this before. It really doesn't matter because Danhausen's going to be over regardless. So it's what it is. He tried to curse Ethan Page, but he was not successful. So,
bitch.
He should have cursed him though, huh?
What a bitch.
Yeah.
Too afraid to be cursed.
Ricky Starks cut a promo and he basically challenged Powerhouse Hobbs to a rematch, and that match is going to take place on the Grand Slam Rampage episode. So that'll be exciting. Then we had
most of the matches that are on they're going to be on tonight are really good.
Yeah.
And then most of the matches that are on Friday are matches that for Rampage are typical matches that would be on Rampage.
I mean, I think some of the matches are still going to be really good, but I think what it is I imagine that Bryan Danielson Moxley match is going to go a while, so they're probably and the Claudio Jericho match is going to be a long match, so they're probably trying to, give those matches as much time as possible because and also too the Rampage is 2 hours this week, so they need to fill that show as much as possible. So, but yeah, it'll be exciting. Then we had the main event. It was Samoa Joe defending the ROH World Television title against Josh Woods. They did the typical face-to-face thing with Mark Henry, which they didn't really say anything new there. They did poke fun at Joe for like being off TV for a while because he's supposed to be like a fighting champion and everything. But this was a pretty good match here. Very submission-based. Eventually, Joe makes Woods tap out. No, he pins him with the Muscle Buster actually, which is still cool because he hasn't done this move really all that much recently. Like because obviously when WWE got banned when Tyson Kidd got like a career-end injury from it.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of nuts that he's able to do it again. But which I'm kind of scared that he has because he hasn't done this move really in a while. So I'm kind of worried that now every time I see him do this move, then afterwards, he retained his title and everything. Tony Nese and Josh Woods attacked him afterwards. And Wardlow came out, he made the save. He went to powerbomb Smart Mark Sterling again, but Tony Nese pulled him out of the ring. And afterwards, Samoa Joe and Wardlow had a face-off as if they're going to do a match with each other, which I would really love to see that because that would be awesome. But they announced afterwards that's going to be a tag match. It's going to be Joe and Wardlow versus Josh Woods and Tony Nese on the Rampage episode. I think that would be a hell of a match. Again, you could make the argument maybe they should do Joe versus Wardlow, but you have so many marquee matches that are going to take place at the Arthur Ashe Stadiums, Joe. I'd rather see that match take place on its own so that way it won't get lost in the shuffle. Because it seemed like they're building Joe versus Wardlow, but that was Rampage. I thought Rampage was actually... Oh, I forgot to cover one match, actually. It was Penelope Ford versus Willow Nightingale. That was a really good match there, too. Penelope Ford won. Kip Sabian was ringside, and he was being really creepy, just talking to his box and everything. So what a creepy guy he is.
Creepazoid.
Yeah. That was a good match there, too. So, yeah, pretty good episode of Rampage. I'll give it like a B-. The Josh Woods match, I think, suffered from, obviously it was taped on the same episode of Dynamite, so I don't think the crowd were really all that into it. So, there's that. So, it was Rampage. I thought it was a good episode. Then we had Elevation episode 81 that took place on Monday. Different commentary team. It was Big Daddy Magic Matt Minode and Ian Riccaboni on commentary together, which was interesting.
Ian Rick?
Because I think he was there anyways because he was doing commentary for the ROH World Television title match, so they figured might as well use him for Elevation. Him and Matt Menard had really good chemistry together on commentary. It was kind of funny because Matt Menard was joking around, and Ian Riccaboni kind of was more serious than Excalibur would have been, but they still had good chemistry together. Honestly, I would complain if this was like the commentary team going forward for Elevation. I don't think it's gonna be, but I honestly think it should be. And I think this kind of proves my point that Caprice Coleman isn't all that good on commentary because without Caprice Coleman, Ian Riccaboni was much better on commentary without him. So, let's just talk about this show. We had Zach Clayton versus Conan Lincoln. Matt Menard was like so aghast hearing the name Conan Lincoln, like he just couldn't understand how that was somebody's wrestling name, which is kind of weird because there's a wrestler out there named Conan. So I don't know if he was just if he couldn't associate with it or anything like that or what. But Zach Clayton, this was actually a little bit of a competitive match here, but eventually Zach Clayton ended up getting the win with a suplex into the knee to the head into a Death Valley driver. No, into a TKO onto this guy. But it was a somewhat competitive match. They were both from the area. So, but Zach Clayton was clearly the heel in this match. He turned his back onto his hometown and everything like that. So, pretty decent match here. What'd you think of it?
Yeah, it was okay. Nothing special. I think Zach Clayton's just fucking terrible.
Yeah. Afterwards, we had Becca spelled with a 3 instead of an E.
Bethreka.
Versus Nyla Rose. This was really fast. Nyla Rose won with a powerbomb. It was a spear into a powerbomb. Not really all that good of a match here. And I'm going to let you talk about this because you were very critical of this in the text. Then afterwards, not Nyla Rose, Marina Shafir cut a promo. Why don't you talk about the promo Marina Shafir cuts?
When I say this is probably the worst promo I think I've ever heard in my entire life.
Well, to be fair, you just recently saw Bray Wyatt, his sister Abigail, though. So
This promo sucked.
Yeah.
Basically, she said she's from Moldova and she moved here when she was younger to Albany, New York. And then she kept saying, "You're the problem. You're the problem.
Yeah, it was
You're the
awful.
problem. You're the 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 problem. You caused the problem. You are the problem. You caused the problem." And I'm like, just shut the fuck up and leave. Okay? Just shut the fuck up.
It was awful.
Fucking dreadful. I never want to hear her speak again. But guess what? They're probably gonna fucking throw the mic at her again. It's either that or listen to Vicky talk, and I don't want to listen to either of them.
Yeah, it was terrible. It's weird because she's not even the one that had the match either. It was like I don't even understand what they were doing here. Like,
and it went on way too long.
Yeah. This was that was awful. Then Private Party squash Agaro and Danger Kid. I guess it wasn't a complete squash, but it was essentially a squash. They were taking too much. They were taking too long to put their opponents away because they had to fill some time here. That was it. Really nothing. They didn't have Matt Hardy come out or anything like that. So I don't know what's. It feels like they're dropping that now, which I think is a mistake. But yeah. Then we had Sky Blue. But what'd you think of that? I just kind of glossed over that. So. Yeah. I don't know what happened to Mark. I think it's Mark Quinn. Like, he just looks old now. Like, it looks like he's aged.
My favorite part about Private Party is when they do their entrance and Matt Menard loses his mind.
Yeah.
Because Mark Quinn is just humping the air constantly.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
It's the best part every week is hearing Matt Menard gush over Mark Quinn as he's humping the air.
It's awesome. Then Sky Blue squashed Chica Corazas, however you say that. Nothing really to talk about there. Do you want to just move on?
Yeah, nothing to talk about. She won. They're giving her a tiny bit of a push. And then they talked about her getting a match on Dynamite for the TBS Women's Championship. And I'm like, oh, great. About a 2-minute squash match. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's going to happen.
Not even, probably a minute and a half.
Yeah. And then this was kind of a treat here. We had Dalton Castle and the Boys versus Bougie, Rick Raycon, and Omar. The funniest thing about this was Matt Menard kept screwing up the names of the jobbers. He kept thinking one guy was the other guy. And that
was funny.
He was like losing. Ian Riccaboni was like hyping up Dalton Castle's entrance and everything like that. And like Matt Menard was like a gaze about the entrance because he's never seen. I don't think he's ever seen it before. So it was kind of funny because like he was like building up the entrance of like when like he did the entrance in the ring when like. And it was really like nothing special that he does like for all that setup. It was just like he just like I thought there'd be like confetti or something like that, but it was just he just did his taunt or whatever. So it was kind of hilarious.
Yeah, that was funny.
This was a little bit of a competitive match here, mainly because the boys I think are meant to be like Dalton Cassidy's like lackeys and everything like that. There's a
they are. They're meant to be
a cool bit where he like throws each of them into like a suicide dive on each guy. Then eventually hits like the gut wrench face plant onto one of the jobbers for the win. This was just kind of random that the Dalton Castle and the boys were just there though. Like it made me question why they weren't in the tournament for the Trios Championships. It really didn't make it. That's what I was thinking about. It really didn't make any sense. They should have at least taken the place of the Trustbusters because that didn't really make sense that they weren't. It was good stuff here. Ian Riccaboni did mention the fact that he would love to see title for title like unification match between like Pac and the Lucha Bros, Death Triangle versus Dalton Castle and the boys. I don't think they necessarily do title for title, but I would like to see them have a match with each other. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that's crazy. That'd be awesome.
I mean, I think that would be like an obvious win though for like Death Triangle because
for sure.
Because like that would honestly like be a death, coincidentally or not, that would be like a huge blow to their momentum if they lost to Dalton. Not that Dalton Castle and the boys are bad, but like Death Triangle is just a whole different level because the boys are meant to be pretty much enhancement talent, I think. So, next we had, what'd you think of the trios match that happened on this show?
I mean, it makes Dalton Castle and the boys look good. That's
Yeah.
what match, really.
Battle of the Belts is coming up too. And I imagine maybe they're going to do an ROH 6-man tag title match with, Dalton Castle and the boys, because they always like to throw in an ROH title match. So whether that's, for the women's, the men's, or like the pure title. So,
yeah.
But then next it was Java Joe versus Frankie Kazarian, 2 Boston boys, I think, going at it. Well, at least, they also mentioned, by the way, too, I think it was on this episode, by the way, that the Javas that Dalton Castle and the boys face were like big in the New England area. I've never seen them wrestle before, but to be fair, I haven't been to like a top rope thing in a while because I just don't have any interest to go at the moment.
I didn't even know who the fuck they were. So.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like Liam Riccaboni was making stuff up there because I've never seen him before. So,
seems like it.
Then we had Java Joe versus Frankie Kazarian. This was a pretty good match here. Java Joe is clearly out of the AFO because he wasn't even mentioned to be in it at all.
They mentioned him being a part of the Hardy family office,
but not the Andrade family office though.
Nope.
So I don't know when he was taken out of it. I guess I think that it feels like they've dropped that. So Frankie Kazarian.
Blink and you miss it if he was in the fucking
I know
the HFO.
It'd be funny too because he wouldn't show up with the HFO on Dynamite. He would only show up with them on Dark. But it was essentially like he wasn't even in it. Like, honestly, I remember there was one time he was on Dynamite. I think you legit asked, who the hell is this guy? Because I don't even think you knew who he was or anything like that.
I had no fucking clue who he was.
Eventually,
you know what he looks like too? He looks like an Indian version of like 2003 Hollywood Rock.
Yeah, he honestly does. Yeah. Frankie Kazarian eventually won with the it was Bob Backlund's finisher.
The crossface chicken wing.
Yeah, the crossface chicken wing. Yeah, so that was good stuff there. Really no complaints. I think Frankie Kazarian, I say this, I imagine he's just not going to get much of a push. I honestly think he should just leave and do his thing at Impact because I don't think unless they put SCU back together, but they're so insistent on keeping that stipulation where they can't team up together ever again, that it kind of it's basically the Cody AEW World Championship situation all over again, where it kind of hinders the pushes of Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels because mainly, because they did that stipulation where they can't team again ever again. I made the suggestion that the way to get around it is they team up, but they're not SCU. They're either the Addiction or Bad Influence, because technically that's not SCU teaming up, but it seems like they don't have any. Also, too, I think Christopher Daniels is just going to be a part-timer too, so I think that's why they did that storyline.
Yeah,
so.
definitely. He's going to be a part-timer for sure.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, it seems like ever since, like, because Frankie Kazarian was the elite hunter, and then he wasn't one day, so I don't know what. Like,
and then he just disappeared.
Yeah. What'd you think of Frankie Kazarian versus Jara Joel?
It was all right. Jara Joel does look impressive at times. In this match. But at the same time, it's just like, Frankie Kazarian was going to win anyway. It was pretty obvious.
I like how Matt Menard was giving like Jara Joel like advice. Like I think there's one point he gets like some type of like move on him where he could have clearly won the match or something. And Matt Menard was even this is it. He's gonna lose here because like he made like a massive mistake and everything like that. And I remember Ian Riccaboni was like, "Well, I bet it's not like you've never done this before." And Matt Menard's like, "No, I've never do something like this." So it was really funny. Then we had the next match. It was Mascara Dorada, Grand Metalik from WWE versus Serpentico. Mascara Dorada is basically I don't want to call it an excursion because he's not in like New Japan, but he's basically like a free agent. He showed up at Impact and he's been doing things on New Japan Strong and everything like that. And he's been doing GCW appearances and everything like that, which I hope that's over. He's way too good for GCW. Basically everyone's way too good for GCW, to be honest. He comes out here, and basically this was really a showcase for Mascara Dorada. He looked really good in this match. He hit a really cool moonsault onto Serpentico. He hit the Swanton Bomb from the middle rope, and I honestly thought like he like murdered Serpentico. The only offense I think Serpentico got was like a rolling super kick onto Mascara Dorada, because that was it. He hit a spinning Michinoku driver afterwards, and he won. And Serpentico now has like 94 career. He's 13-94 in all his AEW.
Let's go.
He's got to get to those 100 losses, man. Like,
let's go.
And he needs to get a. He needs to. I didn't realize he was that close because I think Excalibur said he was like 80 career losses, but I think he's at like. So I'm gonna guess like I don't know if they're counting the singles match. If he was just counting the singles matches, but he's at 94 career losses, 13-94. That's
what
fun.
A fucking loser.
Honestly, I want that trophy thing to happen where he gets a trophy for being the first AEW competitor to get to 100 career losses, because that's gonna be awesome when that happens. What do you think of this?
The fucking loser Serpentico.
Yeah, what do you think of this?
Right person won the match, obviously. And if Serpentico doesn't get to 100 losses, I'm gonna be pissed.
Yeah. I still want that thing to happen where like Jungle Boy faces Serpentico on Dynamite when he's at like his 99th loss, and they do the trophy thing and everything, and Luchasaurus comes out and has Serpentico win by DQ, just as like a big troll and everything. Like I want him to do the Hikaru Shida reverse thing where he actually gets a win and then he loses the 100th match like later on or something like that. Like that'd be hilarious. That'd be awesome.
That would be wicked funny.
If that doesn't happen, that's a missed opportunity right there. And then we had the main event, if you want to call it that. It was the Butcher and the Blade. They squashed Liam Davis. I wrote Mike Anthony, but I don't think it was, because that's JD Drake's partner. I forget who the other guy was, but it really doesn't matter here because Butcher and the Blade, these guys did not survive this.
Liam Davis.
Yeah, who's the other guy? It was Mike Anthony.
Liam Davis and Mike Anthony.
Oh, so wait, was this JD Drake's partner then, or am I thinking it? Because I know
you're thinking of Anthony Henry.
Okay. I mean, to be fair, don't call somebody. This is what happens when you have wrestlers sometimes have similar names.
He also has two first names.
Yeah. But yeah, the Butcher and the Blade squashed these guys. It looks like the turning babyface, because they were very much baby faces in this match. I honestly think they should go with them as baby faces because they've done everything they can do as heels.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But yeah, really nothing to talk about. They didn't come out with the bunny this week. I don't know why that was the case.
Bizarre. That was really weird.
Yeah, but again, because it's still in the New York area, I think they'll. That's why they were probably still playing baby faces here. But what do you think of this?
I liked it. I mean, again, like they did the stack up pin with their finisher, whatever the fuck they call it. But yeah, it was. It was really good. Yeah,
that was Elevation. I thought it was solid. I'm gonna give it like a C+. I liked Frankie Kazarian versus Joe. I liked Serpentico getting to 94 career losses. I liked the Butcher and the Blade like looking like they're gonna go babyface, and I liked seeing the appearance of Dalton Castle and the boys. I mean, the thing that keeps it from a B- is that freaking Marina Shafir promo. Like, had that not happened, it probably would have been a B-. So, what do you grade?
I give it a C.
Okay.
For me, if that Marina Shafir promo didn't happen, it probably would have been a B-.
Yeah. So
it gets dropped down 2 letter grades because of that horrifically awful Marina Shafir promo.
There you go. Now we have AEW Dark from last night, episode 162. I literally just watched it not that long ago, so you saw everything but the main event pretty much. So
I saw almost all of the main event,
yeah,
but not all of the main event.
Because you had work to go to, so you couldn't watch it, the whole thing. So yeah, let's start talking about it. They were back in the studios, and I think you see what I'm saying when it's really bad in the studio sometimes.
Oh, it's fucking awful.
Yeah. You know what's worse? After landscaping all day, try to watch AEW Dark. You will not get through an episode. Or like doing like some like physical work all day. You will not get through an episode of AEW. You'll fall asleep within like after like the first 2 matches. It's miserable in the studio sometimes because
no one makes a fucking sound.
Yeah, it had it's
at least with Elevation, it's like in a arena.
Yeah.
So it's like they can get the crowd pumped up or get the crowd invested. But that was my first show that I saw at the Universal Studios where Impact used to be.
Yeah.
God, it's just there's no fucking crowd noise whatsoever.
Yeah. Honestly, I think
all of the 11 matches that were on the card, I only think that the crowd made noise in maybe 2 of them.
Yeah. And I think you could tell the commentators aren't there. There's one point I think Taz calls a move because I think he's like a second ahead of Excalibur. So he saw the move happen before it actually happened, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I think he calls like a victory wall at one point, but the victory wall like didn't happen on our end. So So yeah. And like you could tell like the commentator, because you could tell this was taped like weeks ago, but the commentary team's like up to date because they tape it over it. So like they'll talk about something that's gonna happen on Dynamite tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I mean it's worse when you see like I remember one of the worst occasions what happened was when Sonny Kiss joined up with the Trustbusters and they didn't talk about it like on that episode of Dark like in the arena because it hadn't happened yet when they taped it. So like they didn't even mention it really, but like the commentators mentioned it, so it was just really weird.
It was weird. Yeah,
it's like worse than like NXT UK, like because at least NXT UK. I mean, the only occasion where like NXT was obviously this recent tapings because Tyler Bate had already won the belt, Did I tell you by the way that WWE only recognizes Tyler Bates' title reign as being 3 days, even though he showed up with the belt before like those? So it's really weird. So Tyler Bates' last NXT UK title reign like is really weird. But anyhow, let's just start talking about this show. It started with John Silver and Alex Reynolds versus Zuka and Alexander Moss. This was a pretty good tag match here. Zuko and Alexander Moss got the heat at one point on John Silver. But then eventually Alex Reynolds made the hot tag. And they hit their tag finisher where they just hit like a bunch of moves. It's like a bunch of forearms and then like a spin kick into like a German suplex and stuff. And they really screwed it up this time. I don't know. I think it was on the jobber this time because I don't think he knew the German suplex was coming. It kind of took him by surprise. And like the knife edge like victory roll cover that they do, like I think took. To be fair, that's not an easy move to probably get the timing right. If you don't have the right guy, so
yeah, you gotta be crisp on the timing.
Yeah. But yeah, fairly solid match there. Really, I liked the team of Zuko and Alexander Moss together. I thought they worked pretty well together as like a team. So, what do you think of this?
I liked it. I mean, the Dark Order back in action again.
Yeah.
I don't know if Alex Reynolds was healthy in real time.
Yeah.
I don't know when this was taped. I don't know if it was live or taped.
Yeah.
They strong beard games.
Yeah. Then we had.
That was my favorite part. Alex Reynolds has a very nice looking beard.
He does. Then we had Emi Sakura versus Avery Bro. Excalibur had to correct Taz about the fact that it's spelled BREAUX instead of BRO. Which Taz couldn't even believe. He couldn't believe that was the case. And really nothing to talk about here. Emi Sakura hit the crossroads, which got screwed up really bad. And then eventually...
That looked terrible.
And then... Which gets screwed up again later on in the show in a different match. And then Emi Sakura won with the moonsault. She was accompanied by Barion Aki, her student, who has a match later in the show. But really nothing to talk about here. It was just really a squash.
Yeah, just a squasher.
Actually, one funny thing that was going on commentary is like Taz and Excalibur were giving her like some type of eyeglasses gimmick, and they was like, "We just gave her a gimmick. Book it." Like, it was really hilarious. Then we had the Trustbusters versus Marcus Cross, Mike Magnum, and JKM. Excalibur and Taz were really confused because there was a JKM and a Jeeves VSK or something like that, like in the same match and everything like that. And they just couldn't believe it. They would couldn't believe that this was going on here.
Yeah, shocked.
Obviously, the Trustbusters won. Really, the match itself wasn't bad. I just do not like this Trustbusters gimmick at all. Like, it's just not good. I think James and I have talked about it before, so I'm not gonna repeat what I just said. But you haven't been able to talk about the Trustbusters. Why don't you talk about the Trustbusters?
Don't give a fuck about the Trustbusters.
Yeah.
At all. Not even remotely give a fuck about them.
Yeah.
No fucks were given about the Trustbusters.
And then we had Luke Curtis versus Anthony Ogogo. Anthony Ogogo laid out Luke Curtis before the match even happened with a German suplex. And then he just destroyed this guy, knocked him out, and won by knockout. Afterwards, he got on the mic and basically challenged a big-time AEW competitor to get into the win with him. Or else he threatens to basically take his talents elsewhere. He's basically pulling an MJF, if you think about it. And, that honestly could happen. Because I think Cody was the biggest person Cody and QT were the big people that got him signed. And with Cody and WWE, he could get him a job with WWE. So,
yeah.
I thought this was a really good squash here. And I hope this means we're finally doing something with Anthony Ogogo. As for the big time talent who could accept his challenge, I think it could be I like to see it be someone from the Blackpool Combat Club, whether that's Willa Yuta or Bryan Danielson, because I think they could have a hell of a match together. So,
oh yeah, absolutely.
What do you think of this?
It's Gogo looks good, and that's the whole point. He's impressive. Yeah, not bad.
You could definitely tell that his eyes messed up when you look at
yeah, definitely.
I'll only let you talk about this match because this is I think when you started to hate Doc. It was Zach Clayton versus Barry Morales. Why don't you talk about it?
This match sucked. This match was complete garbage. The best part about it was Excalibur and Taz talking about the fan at ringside.
Yeah.
What they thought was a Paul Pierce jersey, but it actually wasn't. It was a St. Patrick's Day Michael Jordan jersey, and that was the best part of the whole fucking match.
Yeah.
Because it sucked really, really bad.
Yeah.
And Barry Morales looks like fucking Juventud.
He does. I always say he looks like a mini Damian Priest also too.
Like a mini Damian Priest and Juventud Guerrero.
Yeah. There was a weird spot in the match where he goes to confront this fan at ringside, which I think was a plan. Because there's no way you're not gonna convince me otherwise. Because the fact that he went out of his way to go confront this guy shows that there was a plan. Where you were thinking Barry Morales was going to do some type of suicide dive or something like that, because that would have made sense. But instead he just goes out and hits a right hand on him. What sense did that make? That didn't even do anything.
It didn't. Yeah.
Eventually Zach Clayton won, and afterwards he gets interviewed by Shivani, and he says that he basically says that he's going to save professional wrestling pretty much, which I honestly doubt that that's going to happen, but we'll see. Maybe he'll be the guy that saves wrestling, and we're gonna be on our hands and knees bowing down to Zach Clayton. So.
Oh fuck no.
Yeah, we'll see though.
That.
But yeah, this was not a good match here. Which sucks because Barry Morales is actually one of the best competitors they brought in from the pandemic era and everything like that, and he just couldn't get a good match out of Zach Clayton here. So, then we had La Rosa Noriega, which I hope that doesn't mean what I think it means, but we'll see, versus Marina Shafir. Taz was mentioning on commentary when he hears Marina Shafir's music, it makes him think of being in Russia, smoking a Cuban cigar, drinking an Italian coffee, which is just hilarious. That's awesome. This was a terrible squash match. This did no favors for Marina Shafir at all. This made her look terrible. She didn't really. They were clearly trying to get her to sell, but that didn't really go well either. And then she won with some submission move where La Rosa Noriega lasted way too long in that submission move. So this was just two terrible matches in a row. How awesome is that? Isn't that great?
I know, right? Just the best.
Yeah. Then we had Madison Rayne versus Vivian Van. Don't really understand why this match was booked. The only reason I think this was booked was it was some type of tryout match. Like, honestly, this is probably like the coaching match. Like, when Madison Rayne coaches people, this is probably what you would see, like, behind the scenes and everything like that. Yeah. What a waste of time this was. Madison Rayne won with the cross reigns, which also got screwed up. Like, it seems like the only person that can get this move right is Cody, honestly. And there's even been times he's screwed this move up too. So it's like, seems like that's not an easy move to perform.
Doesn't seem like it.
Then afterwards, she got interviewed by Shivani, where this is hilarious. She talks about how she's been waiting her entire life for a moment like this to be a coach in AEW. And this is back to that conversation. There was no AEW her whole life. Like, what are you doing? Like, that's legit what she said. She said she's been waiting her entire life to be a coach at AEW. Like,
yeah, that's literally the.
Yeah,
you should know by now.
Yeah. This is probably, believe it or not, this is actually Madison Rayne's best match he's had in AEW, which I worry about the coaching staff for the women's division if this is the best match that she's had.
I would be too.
Yeah. Because she's had a terrible match with Jade. She didn't have that good of a match with Serena Deeb. I remember the match at Elevation she had, which she teamed up with Queen Emanata, wasn't that good. I think the only other good match she's had has been with Kiera Hogan, but I think this match was better than that. Which that's not good if you're having if the best match you could have was with someone that has like no experience. So
I know, yeah.
Then we had Kylan Ken versus Saray 7. Another squash. Saray 7 tried to like get the jump on it before the bell rang, and then it was just pretty much all over afterwards. She just won, and then that was it. Like, there was nothing to talk about there. Like, what that was it.
Yeah, it's a short match. Don't care.
Yeah. What was hilarious about? I want to go back to the Madison Rayne match for a bit. Shivani, when he interviewed her, he mentioned that Madison Rayne was getting a great reaction, but that was not the case if you watch the show. Like, there was no Madison Rayne chance like going on at all. In that match,
a fan favorite. They love her there.
Yeah. Then Tony Nese and Josh Woods completely squats Balyan Aki and Ryan Matthews. I don't think there's any relation to Buddy Matthews, so you can stop getting your hopes up about that. I know. And yeah, this was just more of the same squash matches you would see Tony Nese and Josh Woods have with each other. So nothing really to talk about there. What do you think?
Squash.
By the way, remember like how people had their hopes up that Sonny Kiss was going to have this big heel turn and she was going to she was going to finally get like booked on Dynamite and everything. Nope, that didn't happen. She just came out and had a squash match with Joe Acagio.
Yay!
And the funny thing is, the only reason Sonny Kiss won was because of interference, so not really much of a good performance from Sonny Kiss. So not really that good of a squash match here either. So what'd you think of this?
Terrible.
Then we had JD Drake versus Matt Sydal, the only real match on the show. It was all right. They definitely did not have the chemistry down in the beginning of the match. You could just tell, like, usually when you get like a high flyer and like a heavyweight together, usually the chemistry meshes. But it did take them a little bit to get the chemistry down. I know you didn't see the whole match like in full, so you can't really comment on it. But eventually, Matt Sydal won with the spiral tap, which is basically the page turner. And afterwards, he gets laid out by Anthony Henry and JD Drake. No one came out to make the save or anything like that, and it kind of brought like a weird, yeah, like usually they would do something like that, like no Dante Mountain or any of that. And yeah, I don't know what was going on there. Decent little match there, though. They definitely got people into it towards the end. Throughout the whole show, too, I want to mention. it was definitely during the Madison Rayne Vivian Van match. They kept talking about how Taz, like 15 years ago on TNA, like wished Hook like a happy birthday, because I think it's like when Hook was like really young and everything like that, and I think he was there and everything.
Yeah.
And I think he mentioned like it was during a Madison Rayne match. So then Excalibur wished his dad a happy birthday, and they kept going back to it like throughout the entire show. Like they kept talking about it.
So bizarre.
Yeah. But yeah, that was AEW Dark. I'm giving the AEW Dark like a D minus. Really not that good of a show here. Not that good of matches, and it just it went on way too long for the minute. Like we did not need like 11. We essentially got like 11-0 matches. So I really did. I'm glad I got YouTube Premium too, because I was definitely able to get through the show quicker without any ads or anything like that. So, what'd you think of AEW Doc?
I give it a fucking D minus. It was the worst AEW Dark I've seen to date, and the best part of the show was the fucking commentary.
Yeah, you could just tell the commentary has no interest in commentating this show either.
Zero interest.
Something needs to change in AEW Dark, because you could definitely tell like there's a different they I think the biggest thing I can recommend is have Rampage and Dynamite take place on separate nights, and do Dark with Rampage and Elevation with Dynamite, because I feel like that's the only thing that's going to save Dark at this point.
Yes.
And you could say, what do you do with the studio? I would honestly just have the studio have where ROH gets taped, and you could just do ROH on YouTube and everything like that. If you want, because obviously they have the studio, obviously why not use it?
Yeah, exactly. Use it.
Yeah. But yeah, this was just not that good of a show here. Now we're gonna combine the grades, and I think overall, if my math is correct, that gives AEW for the week for me a B minus, considering the fact we got a C plus and a D minus on the show for grades. So overall, what are your grades, Lita? I know you're not good at math. We're not that good at math, so we're just guessing here. But I think mine's a B minus.
I gave it a C and a D minus.
Yeah, so, and you gave AEW like an A minus, so I think that probably goes to like a C. That probably goes to like a C probably for the week. So, if I had to make a guess,
yeah, because it's skewed towards like lower because of how terrible fucking Dark was compared to last week, where I thought Dark was awesome.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, so we have some news to break down. There's not really that much news, which is good, because considering that the crazy news week we had last week in terms of AEW. Malachi Black, I didn't get to read the whole thing, but so you may have to help me paraphrase. Basically broke his silence about leaving AEW and everything like that. He didn't really say anything like new, I guess. He basically just kind of like put a stop to everyone's rumors and everything about his mental health and everything like that. It's kind of like what you would hear a wrestler say when they're trying to like basically put a stop to the rumors and everything. Like basically like it was a private thing that shouldn't gotten out there and anything. Anything you want to add to it or anything like that, or
Nah, I mean it's his personal life and it shouldn't be on the internet. All I'm gonna say.
Yeah, pretty much. Like we don't really know what the future holds for Malachi Black / Tommy Yen / Aleister Black in the professional wrestling industry. He did talk about too, like the conditional release too, like isn't what we think it is and everything like that too. So, I don't want to speculate either because I don't want to piss him off. But I still think they should go with the idea where once like he gets his mental health together, he should honestly go to WWE to be with his wife, and I think he's going to be like used way better in WWE, because we've already seen like every one of Triple H's projects that were in NXT or were NXT guys at one point be used so much better. And I think he was being used decently well in AEW, but I think he would be like the main storyline, like one of the big players in WWE if he was to come back Friday on SmackDown this week. If he came back, he would be like Honestly, I think he would be like in the Karrion Kross level where he's
hands down.
Yeah. But yeah, so I kind of hope he does come back because I would love to see. Obviously, once he gets I want him to get his mental health like situated first, and then like when it comes time for him to go do wrestling, if that's what he still wants to pursue, I would like to see him back in WWE because I think Now the question we also have is what's going to happen with House of Black. I'm going to make that prediction in a second. Also, for the week, MJF has been busy making the rounds in the interviews because, he's obviously a big talking point right now with this reemergence in AEW and everything like that.
Yeah.
He's basically saying that he loves the way WWE is being run right now. He's talked about the backstage thing with the Elite and CM Punk. And some of this, I think, is his true feelings, but I also think he's playing up the gimmick a little bit about, him, like he probably still feels this way. I just think he's doing it, obviously, too, because it's part of the big storyline right now. So, But it's really interesting stuff, and I definitely would recommend giving it a listen. So, anything you want to talk about in terms of that?
It's he's doing his thing. Basically just talking about WWE again and basically bringing up WWE, which isn't a surprise at this point, because of all the fucking rumors and the teases and everything. But yeah, like he's gonna heap praise on it because I genuinely think he wants to go there. And I genuinely think that he likes WWE.
Yeah. Especially now too, with Triple H running things, him going to WWE seeming more likely.
If
I had to make like a storyline, I would have. Obviously we'll talk about it more in the rundown. I would have Roman Reigns stay champ up until WrestleMania, face Cody for the belt. Cody beats him. And if this, I don't think he'll be there by this point, but if this could happen, I would like to see him show up the night after WrestleMania and lay out Cody and face him. But I don't think that's enough time. I think
it needs to be. That's definitely not enough time. He's on a free agent until 2024. So
yeah, so we'll have to wait and see. I want that would be what I would do if he was gonna leave, if his contract was up. I would have him show up, but
I agree.
But yeah, we'll have to wait because I still think Cody's the guy to beat Roman for the belt.
Easily, yeah.
Yep. Especially with how much of a reaction he'll get if he shows up at the Royal Rumble and everything. So. But yeah, we'll talk about that more when we do the rundown. Hopefully, do the rundown. I keep saying that, but things keep coming up. But and then another news thing, I guess it kind of stems from the backstage thing with Kenny Omega and the Elite, because I want to make sure I mention this. Some people's suspensions have been lifted. We had Pat Buck's suspension was lifted, Brandon Cutler, MT Nakazawa, and there was somebody else's suspension that was lifted. Christopher Daniels. All their suspension was lifted because they were basically breaking up the fight, not really starting a fight. So that's why they're suspended.
They were trying to keep the peace.
Yeah. So
because when the news came out, it was just the Elite, Kenny and the Young Bucks, and Ace Steel and Punk, and then afterwards, it's all these other people getting suspended. I'm like, what the fuck? What happened?
Yeah.
They had this full scale brawl where Daniels and was and Nakazawa, were they on the side of the Young Bucks and Kenny, and was Pat Buck on the side of Punk and Ace Steel? I was like, why are these people getting suspended? And it came out later on that they were trying to break up the fight.
Yeah.
Which is stupid they even got suspended in the first place.
I know, yeah. But yeah, I think CM Punk never got suspended. We didn't really make that clear when we did our story. I think should he get suspended? Probably, but there's really no point in suspending him because he's going to be out anyways with an injury. So what's the point of suspending him if he's going to be out anyways for longer than what he would have been suspended? So you could make the argument maybe he should be suspended, but I feel like there's no point in suspending someone that's going to be out anyways due to an injury. So
Yeah. Or like wait till he comes back from injury and then tack on the suspension.
I know, but what are you going to do? Suspend somebody for something that happened like months ago? So it's like
that's true. Yeah.
I would say my suggestion would be is have him sit out his injury for like 6 to 8 months, and then when he comes back, if he has like an issue again, definitely suspend him. Which I don't even know if because that's gonna be tough. Like because then if he has an issue again, you're gonna have to he'll just be off TV again. So it's like my suggestion is don't put CM because I mean I understand why they would. I wouldn't put CM Punk like in a top spot, like a world title or anything like that. Just because he's had so many issues and injuries recently, I would say like put him in the TNT title or like the All Atlantic title program, and then have him if he have him one with those with one of those belts for a bit, and then when he starts, if he's not having any injuries and if he's like behaving himself, definitely put him up in the world title program. But that's the thing too. Like CM Punk's so tough because it's gonna look really bad if you bring back CM Punk and he's in like the mid card pretty much.
Exactly.
So it's like CM Punk's like a tricky commodity to book right now.
It's extremely tricky.
Yeah, I don't even know what you do, but
it's hard. It really is hard.
That's all the new stuff. We're gonna do our predictions now for probably the biggest AEW like live podcast that I've ever done predictions for on this show. It's gonna be the Grand Slam week. We're gonna have Dynamite Grand Slam tonight, which is September 21st. That's when we're recording this, and then we're gonna have Rampage Grand Slam on the 23rd. Bill, this crowd's gonna have like 2 pay-per-views pretty much because they're both airing the same day. Like they're gonna be sitting down there for a while. They're also gonna be sitting down for Elevation too. I'm pretty sure Elevation won't be that long because I remember last year's Elevation wasn't a long show, because they have to do so many matches tonight. So we'll have to wait and see. But let's do some predictions for this show. We're gonna start with the Dynamite Grand Slam because that's airing first. The first match I'm looking at here is going to be Claudio Castagnoli defending the ROH World Championship against Chris Jericho. I'm really looking forward to this match. They haven't faced each other. I think it's like 2013, maybe 2014.
Ages. Yeah, it's been a long time.
And I'm looking forward to see how they're going to work together because obviously they don't have to work with like that WWE style they were working on. And like Claudio Castagnoli is being used so much better at the moment. I actually kind of don't know who's going to win this match. I think they may go with Claudio, but I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to predict that Chris Jericho is going to win this match because I think having Chris Jericho be the ROH World Champion will be like huge for the ROH brand, especially too if they do like another pay-per-view and Chris Jericho's the ROH World Champion as like the main event. I think that would be like huge buy rates and everything for the ROH brand, because you can easily set up a rematch or something. With Jericho as the champion. So I'm going to predict that Chris Jericho will become the new ROH World Champion on this show. I think that would be huge if he's the ROH World Champion.
I agree that Jericho winning would be big, but I think that I think Claudio's going to win just because like he's been a really good ROH champion.
Yeah.
And I just think Claudio's going to win, and I think he's going to have a super long reign with the title as he should.
Yeah.
I just really like Claudio.
I know. I really wouldn't be mad if either guy winning either. But I think Jericho winning would be definitely the great way to go. Then we have the because they didn't do it this week, but they could still do that idea I talked about where Daniel Garcia gets involved because they still got that storyline cooking in the background. Because I thought they would have set that up on Dynamite last week, but they could set it up on this week's Grand Slam because I think they could do Jericho versus Garcia maybe for the ROH Pure title, and Jericho can get that title if they want to give him that title. So
yeah,
we'll see though. Or like they could do something where Jericho cost since Garcia cost Jericho this match, because I imagine because they didn't make that mention, maybe at Battle of the Belts 4 they do Garcia versus Lee Moriarty, and Jericho cost him the pure title, so that way it would give an excuse to get Lee Moriarty the pure title without making Garcia look weak, and they could do Jericho versus Garcia, because that's kind of a tough one too. If they do Jericho versus Garcia, and it's for the always pure title.
Yeah,
I feel like it's. So they could do that too, but I'm sticking with Jericho winning though. Then we have Pac versus Orange Cassidy for the All Atlantic title, with Pac's defending the title. There's so much history here because this was Orange Cassidy's first match, like singles in AEW. And it would really come full circle is if Orange Cassidy would have won his first championship, it came from the guy that like he had his first match with and everything, and we got to kind of see Orange Cassidy as like the serious wrestler. However, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Pac's going to retain the All-Atlantic Championship and keep this two-title thing going because they're making that a big deal that he's the first competitor to have like 2 AEW championships in AEW. So I think Pac's going to retain his championship.
Yeah, I agree. I think Pac is going to win his championship. I also think it's just too early. He hasn't done QB enough for that to happen, I think. In my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, they still could give it to Orange Cassidy, but I think if he's going to win his first title, it should be the Trios Championships. Because you kind of you also fight a battle with having Orange Cassidy be a champion. Because while everyone likes him, his gimmick a lot of people hate also. Where like, I think if he wins a belt, that will like ruin wrestling to everybody, which I don't think is the case.
I could see that being a double-edged sword.
So if he wins the Trios Championships, at least he's a champion, but he's also like in a Trios at least. So that way, I don't think people would crap on it as much. So
yeah.
But then we have the Fatal 4-Way match for the interim AEW Women's World Championship. It's going to be Toni Storm defending against Serena Deeb, Athena, and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. I think this is going to be an obvious title defense for Toni Storm. This is her first defense as a champion. And I think that she's not going to lose the belt until Thunder Rosa at least comes back, because I think they're going to want to do that match with Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm.
Yeah, that seems like a money match.
But I think they're going to have Toni Storm turn heel in that unification match, like they wanted to do at All Out anyways. So I would say have Toni Storm win and have probably Serena Deeb take the loss, because I think she'll be hurt the least taking the loss. Because Athena, Dr. Britt Baker's not going to take the pin. Let's just let's pretend. And I think if Athena takes another pinfall, it's going to really hurt her because she just came off a huge loss to Jade. So I think Serena Deeb taking the loss is going to be the best course of action for everybody involved. So, but yeah. So, yeah. What about you? What's your prediction?
I think Toni Storm wins.
Who's taking the pin?
Who's taking the pin?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I don't know.
You gotta pick someone. We're just gonna sit here until you pick somebody. So
none of them.
Someone's gonna. Oh, who's gonna get tapped out? Then there you go. You see, I switch it around on you.
None of them.
Oh,
triple count out.
That's not even possible in a 4-way match.
I think it's gonna be Serena.
Yeah.
Eating the pin.
I do think
eat the pin.
I think what's going to happen, too, is they're going to do some more dissension with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and JB Hayter. So that way, to protect Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, when she does lose. So, because they got to protect Britt Baker, because she can't lose the match fairly, apparently. So, now obviously you've been building up to this, but we have the next match. It's the AEW World Tag Team title match. It's Swerve and Our Glory defending against the Acclaimed. I think we've been talking about this all. Huh?
And they have arrived.
And I think they should have the Acclaim win the tag titles here. There's really no reason for them to not. It's in their hometown. And unless the only reason I'll be okay with the Acclaim losing is if they turn both Swerve and Our Glory heel and they cheat to win. But if that doesn't happen, the Acclaim should win. Because, like, there's no other moment to do this title change other than right here. Like, it's going to be a massive reaction if they win. especially too, like if this kicks off the show or something, or like it's in like the middle of the show, I think the fans are gonna be pissed if they do not win these titles. So I think they got to win the belts.
Yeah, they definitely have to win. 100% have to win. They need to win.
Yeah. Now, would you be okay with them?
I honestly feel like if they lost, I feel like it's like I said before, they're dead.
Yeah.
Because regardless if Swerve, if Swerve and Our Glory turn heel, I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
It's just this is the perfect opportunity. The Acclaimed have never been fucking more over or on fire as they are right now.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah, because like we've talked about this before. Like WWE made mistakes where they didn't push people when they were at the hardest. The biggest example is Braun Strowman in 2017 when he didn't get the Universal Championship. It was a massive mistake. Because by the time Strowman won his world title, everyone crapped on it.
yeah.
I mean, we'll laugh about it now. The same thing happened with Ryback in 2012. By the time when he did win the WWE title with some type of world championship in 2012 or 2013, it was a massive mistake. So
yeah, it was. It's a huge mistake.
I mean, and you could go on the flip side, like WWE was smart when they had Daniel Bryan win the world title at WrestleMania 30 because he was the hottest he's probably ever been and ever will be in his wrestling career. So
yeah,
you got to strike while the iron's. I mean, the same thing last year with Heyman Adam Page at Full Gear. Like he was red hot, and like that was the hottest Heyman Adam Page has ever been in professional wrestling. So,
I agree.
You don't even have to have the Acclaimed have like a long title reign either. You could have them lose it right away. So, I mean, we talked about the same thing with Kofi Mania. Kofi was white hot at WrestleMania 35. It was an emotional moment when he did win the belt. So yeah. Then we have what's probably going to be the main event of the Arthur Ashe Stadium show, unless the Acclaim win the tag. I'd imagine, by the way, too, if the tag title match main events, the Acclaim definitely on winning too, by the way, because that's going to be weird if, especially if Rampage is going to be effective massively if the Acclaim lose. But I imagine this is going to be the main event. It's going to be Bryan Danielson versus Jon Moxley in the finals of the AEW World Championship Tournament of Champions they have going on. This is really could go either way. It's probably going to be Mox because of the setup they're doing with MJF and everything.
Yeah.
But I'm going to go on a limb. I'm going to make a surprise prediction here. I'm going to pick Bryan Danielson for two reasons. You could still do the MJF feud with Bryan Danielson because MJF and Bryan Danielson, I think, would be a perfect match together because Bryan Danielson's talking about how he loves professional wrestling. And you could still make the feud work with MJF because he basically wants to go to a company that Bryan Danielson doesn't view as professional wrestling, as sports entertainment and everything. So that would even work. You could have also too, I think Moxley was meant to go on vacation. So you could have Bryan Danielson just have these killer matches for the title and have Moxley go on his vacation. Because also, too, I want to see kind of Bryan Danielson win because we just literally saw Jon Moxley be world champion not that long ago. I want them to do something different, and I think Bryan Danielson would be something different. So
yeah, it would be something different.
Who are you picking?
I am picking the Mox man because I just think that that's the way that they're going, and I have no problems with it if Bryan Danielson wins.
Yeah,
it just to me just seems like it's a shoe-in that it's Mox winning.
I mean, you could even do something too, though, where MJF cost Moxley the match. I don't know. I feel like they're not going to do that. If it was Jericho in this match, I could see it, but I feel like this is going to be like a babyface match where no one really. I mean, they'll obviously do some cheating because they're trained by Regal, who's like one of the dirtiest people in AEW, but. I could see them, but I feel like this is going to be definitely like the match is going to have a clean finish unless there's blood.
Yeah,
then it won't be clean if it's blood. But will there be blood? There'll probably be blood, right?
Buckets.
Yeah. So that's the Dynamite Grand Slam. Let's do predictions for the Rampage Grand Slam. There's 8 matches on the Rampage Grand Slam and 5 on the Dynamite one. So that means there's definitely going to be there's either going to be a couple matches that go on the Dynamite one, or they're going to do some type of promo segment on the Dynamite one. I'm trying to think of what they would do promo-wise, though, because everyone that would be in the promo is in a match in somehow, some way. So, but they'll find a way. Maybe Daniel Garcia will have some type of promo or something. I don't know. But the Rampage Grand Slam, there's 8 matches on it. We have the tag match. It's going to be Wardlow and Samoa Joe versus Tony Nese and Josh Woods. I think that's an obvious win for Wardlow and Samoa Joe. There's no way I think Tony Nese and Josh Woods win. And I think what's going to happen at the end is Wardlow's finally going to get his hands on Smart Sterling. He's going to powerbomb him 3 times. He's going to murder Smart Mark Sterling. So
poor Smart Mark Sterling.
who do you think's winning this match?
Ward Dog.
Yeah, I think too. Afterwards we're gonna get some type of challenge with Samoa Joe challenging Wardlow for the TNT title, and maybe they'll do title for title, but they won't necessarily unify the belts. Wardlow, whoever wins that match, will just have both of the titles.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll turn Joe heel, because I'd like to see Joe as the heel facing Wardlow. That'd be cool. So,
They could go that route.
We another match is Powerhouse Hobbs versus Ricky Starks. This is the second match of the feud. I think this time they're gonna give it to Ricky Starks, because I feel like if he loses here, that's gonna really hurt his momentum. And I think they're gonna do some type of third match, whether some type of stipulation match, like a no DQ match, for the blow off. So I think Ricky Starks will get the win. I don't think he'll get the win necessarily clean. I think Powerhouse Hobbs will go to use a chair or something, and Ricky Starks will take advantage of it. He'll go to hit him off the head, and then he'll bounce off his head or something. He'll hit a spear or something. Because I don't think Ricky Starks will beat. I think Powerhouse Hobbs will beat himself, and it will set up a rematch. What do you think?
Yeah. I agree. Yeah.
Then we have I think will be a sleeper match on this entire program, and it's going to be Ray Phoenix versus Jungle Boy. I think this is going to be a hell of a match, actually. I think Jungle Boy's probably going to win this match to continue his momentum, because they really need to rebuild him after having to take that loss to Christian Cage.
I think Jungle Boy's going to win also. I think it's just he needs that big win.
Yeah. And I think, too, afterwards, maybe Luchasaurus will come out here and lay out Jungle Boy. And, this is kind of a cool callback storyline, because if you remember, Ray Phoenix got hurt in the Jungle Boy tag title match with Luchasaurus and everything. So this match does have a little bit of storyline behind it. So, then we have the TBS Women's Championship match. It's going to be Jade Cargill defending against Diamante. I think I pretty much know how this match is going to go. Jade Cargill is going to get some type of move where it looks like she's going to lose and right away, and then the match will go 5 more minutes, and then Jade Cargill will hit a jaded finisher out of nowhere and just win. Diamante will get a hope spot in and then lose. That's pretty much what's going to happen here.
Jade Cargill's winning. There's no fucking doubt in my mind.
Yeah.
Squash, probably.
Especially too, because we haven't seen Diamante all that much on TV or anything like that. So, I don't know if they're going to use this match to set up another opponent for Jade Cargill, but I just don't know who on the roster can go up against Jade right now, because Toni Storm's the champion. You could do Dr. Britt Baker DMD, but I think she's going to stay a heel, especially now that a lot of controversies come out about her. There's no babyface right now that can take this title off of Jade unless they sign Sasha Banks, but she's not signing clearly. So, yeah, I just don't know. They're going to have to get, the only other one they could get is Tessa Blanchard, but there's too much backlash with signing Tessa Blanchard. So I don't even know, how you even go about dethroning Jade. Unless, like, they had Red Velvet come back and be mad that she replaced her as a baddie, but I don't think anyone wants to see Red Velvet be the one to dethrone Jade's undefeated streak. Yeah. So I'm not really sure what they're going to do here. Well, I mean, obviously the match I'm sure about, but I'm not sure who's going to dethrone Jade.
No one at this point.
Yeah, I think I think she's going to stay undefeated the rest of the year because there's no one that can beat her for it. Then we have this golden ticket battle royal, where the winner's going to get a future shot at the AEW World Championship. We don't know all the competitors in the match. The ones I know about are Lance Archer, Jay Lethal, Pentagon, Zero Miedo, and Heyman Adam Page. We know the Dark Order's going to be in it. We know Rush is going to be in it. We know Andrade El Idolo is going to be in it. I think basically everyone that doesn't have a match on this show is going to be in this battle royal.
Yeah, just
I'd imagine this match is going to be the opener because the battle royal. Because I imagine whatever match ends the Dynamite portion, they should do something. They should do like a cool down match, and I think the battle royal will be the cool down match a little bit. But it's really tough to call who's going to win this battle royal. So I'm just going to throw out there. I'm going to say Jay Lethal wins because I'd imagine whoever wins this battle royal isn't going to win the title. I think Jay Lethal will be a good opponent to throw out there for Moxley or Danielson, especially if Danielson wins the title. You can tell some ROH history with that. So I'm going to say Jay Lethal wins. He's a name that will be someone that could challenge for the title and not necessarily win it, but it wouldn't hurt if he lost either. So I'm going to go Jay Lethal.
Lance Archer.
Okay. Because we haven't seen him in a while either. So yeah, I'm fine with that. Then we have a match I can't believe is happening. It's going to be Eddie Kingston versus Sammy Guevara. I think this needs to be Eddie Kingston winning because he really needs to rebuild himself after taking that big loss to Jericho all that time ago in the Barbed Wire War. And also, too, like, he hasn't been seen in a while. There's really no reason for Sammy to win this match. I think it's going to hurt Eddie. It's going to hurt Eddie Kingston more losing than it would Sammy Guevara losing. So I predict Eddie Kingston wins.
Yeah, Eddie.
Then we have Action Bronson and Hook versus Matt Menard and Angelo Polka. I think this is going to be a squash, and Hook and Action Bronson are going to
100%.
Especially now too that Action Bronson can't take any bumps because I don't think this is the time for Hook to sell right now. And you could have Matt Menard and Angelo Polka lose because they're kind of like clowns anyways. They can afford to get squashed. So especially like Matt Menard will be able to save himself by cutting like a really killer promo or something on Dynamite or something. So then we have what I think is main event in the show. It's going to be this no disqualification tag match with Stin and Darby Allin versus the House of Black, Buddy Matthews, and Brody King. I think this will be a hell of a match. I am curious to see how into it the crowd's going to be because this is going to be after seeing like 2 hours of wrestling. I'd imagine there's going to be one match that the fans are either going to walk out of, and I think it's going to be that Jade Diamante match that I think the fans are going to just leave. I just know that I have a feeling I'm making that prediction. There's going to be some reports that come out about people leaving this show just because of how long it's going to be and everything. It's either going to be this match or maybe the Joe tag match. I could see it being that one. You just know that's going to happen.
I wonder where the golden ticket battle royal is going to be.
Yeah.
Your best bet would be the opener.
It has to open. But as for who I think is going to win the no DQ match, I'm going to go back to my prediction I was going to make earlier. I think Stin and Darby Allin are going to win, and afterwards, I think Brody King's going to destroy Buddy Matthews and leave House of Black and disband the group permanently because there's really no point to have the House of Black be a thing anymore without the leader. So especially with the name House of Black, I think Brody King is going to break out on his own. And he's not going to take the loss. I think Buddy Matthews will take the loss, and then he'll turn on Buddy Matthews afterwards. Because Because if that doesn't happen, then I don't understand why we're doing this tag match.
I
what do
can
you
see
think?
that happening. But they just recently filed a trademark for the term House of Black. So I don't see that happening now. They might rename it to something different in the future, in like House of Brody or House of something, House of King or whatever.
House of Heart, because that's like a
House of Heart. Yeah,
there's like an Instagram fan page that's called like House of Heart. So
they could do that and just change the name up and scrub the Malachi Black portion of it.
Yeah.
But I think Darby and Sting are gonna win. I just don't. Again, like I don't think Sting takes losses anymore. So
yeah,
I think and if they do lose, I think it's because the House of Black gains a new member.
And who do you think that would be if they gain a new member?
I don't know. I want like maybe Andrade.
Yeah.
Or like if they combined like his group Infection and Ganable with the House of Black.
Yeah, they could do
just
that.
Combine that. Like put two groups that are together that aren't really doing anything right now. Lance Archer, have another big dude in there.
Yeah, they could do that.
There's many people that could go in there, but I don't know like if any like maybe Sting turns on Darby or Darby turns on Sting. Darby turning on Sting would make the most sense actually. Because Brody and Darby have that history already.
Yeah. I mean, the only question I have is, do you really want to boo Darby Allin too? Because that's going to be a tough sell to try to boo Darby Allin.
I mean, but turning on Sting?
Yeah, that could work.
A legend like Sting, who like has been extremely close with Darby since he got back, since he basically returned to wrestling.
Yeah.
Like I never thought that they'd break up the fucking Jurassic Express. But they did.
Yeah. But then you have to question though, because then that Full Gear you would set up Sting versus Darby, so that could be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because just not really sure. They could also combine House of Black with the Dark Order. I think that's been thrown out there as well with people.
That would be interesting as hell.
Because that's basically the same gimmick, except one's a heel and one's a babyface, and that would really establish Dark Order again. Because they have they're having the storyline right now where they're kind of doing stuff with Heyman and Page and everything too. So
they could throw that big surprise out there.
Yeah,
because I feel like being heels again, and then I don't know where that would leave Hangman though.
Yeah, that's like, one thing.
That's 1 on like 10.
Yeah, and you can't really blend. And I would say he could team up with the Elite, but then the suspend. We don't know when they're coming back right now. So
yeah, exactly. We don't know when the suspension's up.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking too. Like, okay, it's gonna be the Elite versus the House of Order or something like that. That actually would be a bad name.
Yeah, but then that's still like 10 on 4 though. Like
like I don't know who the hell else you could.
Because
the Elite's not all that large to begin with.
Yeah, because I could make the suggestion you could bring back Adam Cole to join up with them, but that doesn't really explain like because he just turned on them recently too. So it's like I even get
Kyle too. Like but Kyle's out for a long time.
Yeah,
no one knows that Adam Cole's coming back.
Bobby Fish is gone forever, probably.
Yeah, he's never gonna go back to AEW.
Yeah,
like what would they like if you did that? Like
maybe they could bring in like they could have Adam Cole like Jay White because Jay White's because Bullet Club and the Elite have kind of been like an association a little bit.
They're like they are practically Bullet Club essentially.
Yeah, and they could bring like
Guerrillas of Destiny. Who knows? Like
you could bring back the Good Brothers because they've shown up. They've been with the Elite before too. So like it's just really. But then you just did that storyline too. Like if you put the Guerrillas of Destiny back with the Bullet Club, like that makes that storyline they're doing with Gorillas of Destiny and the Bullet Club really complicated also too.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't even know. Like, yeah, Malachi Black leaving like really kind of makes it the House of Black thing really complicated now too. But
like what they can do.
yeah, I'm gonna go with Stin and Darby winning for now though, especially too because I was like they'll also want to probably do like a feel good ending too if this is the main event of the Arthur Ashe Stadium show too. So
yeah. Or leave it an intrigue, like we said, like any of the things that we said could happen.
Yeah. Because also they have that storyline going on right now too, where Ten could leave Dark Order and join up with Andrade's group.
Yeah.
That could very well happen in the Battle Royal where he accidentally, but he doesn't.
Or 10 joins House of Black because
that could
serious gimmick too. Also.
Yeah, because he hasn't really spoken. He hasn't said anything. But yeah. But then if Dark Order doesn't like, because losing 10 to the Dark Order is gonna it really kind of puts a damp on Dark Order too if they just stay faces and everything because 10's been like yeah. It's just really tough. Like but yeah, we'll see though. But yeah, you haven't been given like what's your official prediction though for that no DQ tag match? Because you
Sting Darby.
Yeah.
What they could do is they do Sting Darby, and then in the celebration, Darby turns on Sting.
Yeah, they could do that.
Again,
yeah, we'll see.
You want to hook people into the next episode of Dynamite.
Yeah.
And not be that huge letdown from week to week. If you want to continue with this you got to keep hooking people in. You can't just go, okay, next week it's a regular episode of Dynamite, and oh, wait a minute, there's no interesting stories going on, and oh, look at it's 910,000 views again.
Especially too, like this is a big show too. Like they usually like to do something big at an Athlash. Because last year, what was the big thing last year was that it was Kenny versus Bryan Danielson. So
yeah, that was the big draw.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll see. But yeah, it's really gonna be I think these are gonna be a hell of a two shows. I think I think these are gonna be pay-per-view caliber shows. Like they've been hyping it up that they're gonna be pay-per-view caliber shows, and I don't think they're messing around. So I think we're in for a treat here. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. So I imagine too the Dynamite show probably is only 5 matches too, because I think MGF's cutting another promo this week too. So
I think he could, yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, there's really nothing left to talk about AEW wise. I know I keep meaning to say we're gonna do news on the game. I just got to do some research on it because I haven't had the time. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of this episode. Do you have anything you want to plug or promote?
Well, whenever we do a rundown, that's my plug or promotion.
Yeah, I'm hoping it's
uploaded.
I'm hoping it's this weekend because I really want to get that out there. It should be this weekend though. I'm not going to make any plans this weekend, so hopefully you don't make any plans this weekend either.
I'm going to make all the fucking plans I possibly can.
They're going to be a huge inconvenience to me. So, as for the other stuff to plug, we just recently did a retro wrestling review series on the October 9th, 2017 episode of Raw. And then we did, we're going to do the rundown this weekend. We're going to talk about basically everything not everything WWE, but we haven't talked about any WWE since Vince is retired. So we're going to try to see if we can
basically summarize that since the
like Triple H takeover pretty much.
The Levesque Khan regime took over.
Yeah, so and then we're gonna do we plan on doing a retro wrestling review series. It's John's pick. We were supposed to do it Monday, but it's a long story of why it didn't happen. It's Judgment Day 2007. That's the show he picked, so we're gonna do that one at some point. We're gonna do it in person because John just got a new place and everything, so he wants to break in the new place. I don't know when it happened. I'm hoping it happens this Monday, but we'll see. And then my retro pick, I want to do a past Bound for Glory. And I want to do the very first Bound for Glory that I ever saw, and that's 2012. So, you know, I'm hoping I can do that at some point. And then, yeah, we're going to do some other retros and things like that. So that should be fun. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Subscribe to Owen the Talkinator and CM Brothers channels. I'm hoping to do some content on there also. So that's pretty much it, guys. Don't hang up because I had to stop the recording, and we will talk to you guys later.
Podcast has concluded. Be sure to check out more group discussion as far as AEW content is concerned, and check out more content from For the Win Productions.